Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and to another installment of the monthly favorite series. Today we're going to be talking about a book, a podcast, a blog post, and a board game that I've enjoyed this month. But before we launch into all of that, I just want to flag up that this video is being used as an example in a new online class that I've just made about how to edit videos, or rather my own process for editing videos. So if you care about how I edit videos and you want to learn the workflow for video editing in Final Cut Pro, I'll put a link below to my Skillshare online class. You can watch it for free if you have a Skillshare premium subscription, or if you don't, you can sign up for a free 2-month trial using the link below, and then you can just watch the class. So yeah, in this online class, I'm going to teach you my whole editing workflow from start to finish, how I import the footage, how I do the first A-roll cut, how I do jump cuts to hopefully try and keep things relatively smooth. You'll learn how I bring in stuff from up and down and things just to add a little bit of masala to the video, and you'll learn how I do timestamps, like all this stuff, and how I do iPad handwritten animation. So if you're into the whole video editing thing, then you should definitely check out my new online class on Skillshare on how to edit videos for beginners. But yeah, that's enough with me plugging that class. Let's get on with the video. Okay, so firstly, I want to talk about a book that I read this month, and that is Ready Player One. And it's a book by Ernest Cline, and you might have seen the movie. I first watched the movie and I absolutely loved the movie, but then I thought I'd read the book because I'd heard the book was really good, and I absolutely loved the book. Like, it took me about 2 nights to finish this, and I stayed up until like 4 a.m. both nights to just watch it. And I think I mentioned in last month's favorites video as well that I've got this rating system for books. They can be either good or really good, or really, really good, or really, really, really good. And they're really, really, really good if they keep me up until 4 o'clock in the morning. And this definitely kept me up until 4 o'clock in the morning across 2 nights. And it's just absolutely incredible. Let me talk about what the book is actually about. Essentially, it's like post-apocalyptic, not really post-apocalyptic. It's like set in the future. In this future, like, the earth is a bit screwed, pollution is everywhere, people are living in slums in the cities. But there is this guy called James Halliday who has invented this amazing virtual reality, like realistic gaming experience. And the whole population pretty much spends their entire life in this game because it's far better than in real life. And the really cool thing that the whole premise of the book is based on is the fact that when James Halliday dies, the guy who invented this virtual reality world called the Oasis, when he dies, he releases a message out to the world, and he says that within the game, within the Oasis, he has hidden a special Easter egg. And an Easter egg is kind of like a bonus thing that you see in some video games. And he sets up this challenge for everyone in the world that if you can be the first person to find his Easter egg within the Oasis, then you will inherit his whole fortune and his whole like multi-hundreds of billion-dollar company, and you will control the Oasis. So everyone in the world pretty much then goes on a mission to find this Easter egg, and he starts off with this clue, and it becomes a case of trying to interpret the clues and trying to figure out where they lead, so you eventually find this Easter egg. And so we follow the story of this guy called Wade on his quest to find this Easter egg. And along the journey, he meets loads of other people who also want to find the Easter egg. There's a cheeky bit of romance in there, and there's this big bad guy who's like this big evil corporation that employs thousands of people because they want to get their hands on the Easter egg first, because then they can control this amazing commercial property that is the Oasis, and they can like litter it with advertising and all that stuff. So it's like a really nice sort of coming of age story, little bit of romance, always good, adventure, action, mystery, suspense, following the story of these guys who kind of meet each other online through this video game and how they work to try and defeat this corporation, and it's just absolutely sick. So yeah, Ready Player One, you should absolutely read the book, and you can watch the movie as well. They are actually surprisingly different. Like, I'd probably read the book first and then watch the movie afterwards, but yeah, Ready Player One, incredible book. I'll put a link in the description below. Check it out. Oh, I forgot to mention, every month I do this thing where when I review a book, like I did The Third Door last month, I say that if you leave a comment down below with your Instagram username, I'll randomly pick a comment and mail you a copy of this book. So the winner for last month's giveaway of The Third Door is, let me just pick a random comment on YouTube. Okay, the winner is Broken Chalk, whose Instagram is Sophia Broken Chalk. So Sophia, I'm going to be messaging you on Instagram, and you will win a copy. Well, I'll mail you out a copy of this with a little message inside from me. So yeah, reply to my Instagram DM, please. Thank you. And yeah, we're going to do the same thing this month. So if you want a copy of this, I have a physical copy. Obviously, I've read it on Kindle because, you know, I read everything on Kindle. But I bought the physical copy just so I could give it away. If you want this, just leave a comment down below with anything you like, plus your Instagram username, and then I'll pick someone next month and we'll mail you a copy of this particular book. All right, secondly, I want to talk about a podcast that I started listening to recently and really enjoyed, and that is called My First Million. And it's a podcast that's run by the guys behind The Hustle, which is really good, like tech news, daily email newsletter that I've been subscribed to for the last few months. And the idea is get the gritty details on how Silicon Valley's most prolific founders made their first million. So that's kind of like the premise behind it. How did they, like most of the guys this guy interviews are like multi-millionaires, multi-tens of millions of heirs, multi-hundreds of millions of heirs. Sounds really weird, but it's more like the story of how they made their first million. So how they got started, and what they would do if they were starting today without any of their connections or network or money, and how they would go about making their first million. There was an episode with the guy who started the Hustle email newsletter and how it grew into a multi-million-dollar business. There was a very interesting one from some guy who made a website called Hot or Not, like in the early 2000s, back way before it was like the internet was a thing, and how they struggled to pay for like hosting space because at the time web hosting was like super expensive, and how they snuck into their university and like piggybacked off the university computer system to host the website for a bit. And yeah, it's just all very interesting stuff. And this guy, Sean Puri, I think his name is, he's like a really good interviewer, and he really explores the stories behind people making their first million. And one thing I really like about this is that they don't shy away from talking in real terms. So for example, he would say, okay, right, now your company is worth 750 million. How much were you making when you were 24 in your first year of starting this? And the guy's like, oh, I think I was making about 30,000 a year. And then he's like, okay, and how long did it take you to make your first million? And then they're like, oh, actually, probably about 4 or 5 years. And they're kind of open to breaking down the kind of financial aspect of that. And I think that's really good because a lot of the time when you hear interviews and things like the Tim Ferriss show where he's interviewing like super mega successful people, you often don't get to hear the numbers behind their success. That's another reason why I really like the Indie Hackers podcast, because that breaks down revenue numbers and shares figures and things. So yeah, if you're interested in the whole entrepreneurship thing, if you're interested in sort of how to become a millionaire and stuff, My First Million, really good podcast to listen to. All right, thirdly, I want to talk about a blog that I discovered, and that's by this guy called Nat Eliason, and you can find it at nateliason.com. He says, hi, I'm the founder of Growth Machine, co-host of the Made You Think podcast. Ooh, I need to listen to that. And co-founder of Cup and Leaf Tea. This site hosts all my writing on psychology, self-education, entrepreneurship, marketing, philosophy, health, finance, improving yourself in general. So basically, he's covering all of the topics that I'm interested in, all the topics that I pretty much cover on my videos and my website. Really interestingly as well, he also publishes kind of summaries from all the books and stuff that he's ever read. So there's like a really huge long ass list of books and podcasts and videos that he's taken his own personal notes from and just published for free to the world. So that's another thing that I want to do with my website that I found quite inspirational. And there were a few posts of Nat that I really enjoyed and that really touched a nerve with me. So he has done the whole thing whereby he has these multiple businesses that are bringing in passive income, and he also started off by reading The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and it's a very interesting blog post where he talks about how he first got turned on to this idea of like, oh my God, you can make money like while you sleep, and then you can like go and live on the beach and stuff. And that was the bug that really caught me about like 6-7 years ago when I first read The 4-Hour Workweek. And now for the last 6-7 years, I've been trying to build up these various sources of passive income in my own life so that I don't have to rely on my full-time job as a doctor to make money. If I wanted to, I could quit medicine. I won't, but if I wanted to, I could. And that just gives me more freedom to like travel the world and like do stuff. But the really interesting thing about his blog is that he has done this. Like he has got enough passive income to be able to just travel the world and do whatever he wants. But he talks about the existential dread that comes out of that. And Tim Ferriss alludes to this in The 4-Hour Workweek as well. And that's like, once you've got this lifestyle whereby you don't have to work anymore, then what do you do? Like this guy went to Argentina for a few months, and you know his whole thing is that he like traveled a lot, and then he realized that actually, you know, this whole sort of fetishizing the whole traveling thing wasn't the route to happiness, and now he's kind of rejigged his life priorities and actually figured out what actually makes him happy now that he's broken free of this rat race of passive income. And that's like a funny thing to say, because the people who are into this whole passive income, entrepreneurship, make money on the internet type thing are the people that think, well, we all think we've sort of transcended the regular 9-to-5 job and be like, you know, I don't want to be tied into corporate wage slavery, therefore I'm going to build a business on the side, and therefore I'm going to be able to do whatever I want now that my finances are taken care of. But what this guy says is actually, you know, you think that's the case, but when you get there, you realize that actually it's not all that it's cracked up to be. And actually a lot of the happiness you get from your own life will come from, you know, your relationship and your close friends and family and stuff. And most of that is actually based in the city where you currently live, rather than this amazing, you know, era of traveling the world and living on a beach and doing whatever you want. So I found that really interesting, because I'm still very much in this sort of domain of life, in this sphere of life, where I'm trying to build up these sources of passive income so that I can kind of break free from my job, even though I don't want to break free from my job. So it really made me question, like, what is the point? What's the point of setting up these new businesses and trying to make more and more money just to break free? I think overall it's still a valuable thing to do, and obviously I think my life would be a lot better if I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted, and with that freedom I could choose to still be a doctor. Whereas a lot of people that I've spoken to within medicine who are they're kind of stuck there because You know, I asked them, if you won the lottery, would you still do medicine? And there was a senior doctor that I spoke to the other day who was like, oh God, no, there's no way I'd be doing medicine if I won the lottery. I would open up my own pet sanctuary. So for people like that, they're exclusively doing medicine because it pays the bills. And I never want to be in the position where I am being a doctor because I have to, because it pays the bills. And so I still think it's very valuable to build up these sources of passive income, to build this entrepreneurship lifestyle. But I love this guy's blog, this guy Nat's blog, because it just made me double think again about why I was doing all of this and really figure out what the priorities are in this whole thing. So that's a lot of abstract stuff that I've just gone on about. But yeah, I'll link some of his blog posts down below and some of my favorite ones. And I've actually started making notes on those. So at some point, I'm going to do what he does and what my mate Derek Sivers does and publish them all online on my website. So that's like a thing that I'm working on at the moment. But yeah, if any of this sounds vaguely interesting, if you're interested in psychology, entrepreneurship, self-improvement, stuff like that, you should check out this guy Nat's blog. Yeah. And finally, I want to talk about a board game, and that is One Night Ultimate Werewolf that I discovered earlier this month. And I had some friends over, and none of us had ever played this before, but I'd heard really good things about it on the Board Games subreddit, and people were like, this is like the best thing ever. And there's this like boardgamegeek.com forum for board games as well, and everyone was raving about this. And yeah, it's really, really good. So if you're familiar with Werewolf or Mafia, you'll be vaguely familiar with the concept of this. The idea is, and I think I've also talked about the board game Avalon at one point as well in one of these favorites videos. It's sort of similar. I don't know if you will have watched one of those old videos. I don't know how many people watch these videos really, but anyway. The idea is that there are some people who are bad guys, and the bad guys know who each other are because everyone has their eyes closed and the bad guys open their eyes. But then no one really knows anything else. And there are some special characters that have more information. And One Night Ultimate Werewolf is interesting because it's like a board game, but you have an app like on your phone in the middle, and the app does the narration. So the app will say, you know, you hit the play button, you tell it how many people you've got, and the app will say things like, now everyone close your eyes. Werewolves, open your eyes. Look at each other. Werewolves, close your eyes. Seer, you may open your eyes. Look at one of the cards in the middle. Seer, close your eyes. Robber, open your eyes. Swap your card with any other card that you want. Close your eyes. You know, so all of these different players in the game, and it can, I think it's from 3 to 10 players. All of the players have different roles, and during the night phase where everyone else has their eyes closed, different people wake up and do certain actions. So then when the night is over and it's daytime, then it becomes a case of trying to figure out who the werewolves are and killing them, because at the end of that round, the village as a whole has to decide to kill one person. And so it becomes a case of people sort of revealing little bits of information, and the werewolves trying to pin the blame on someone else for being a werewolf, and you have to weave this complex web of truth and lies to figure out who's who, and everyone is sort of working together to try and kill the werewolves, but the werewolves are working amongst themselves to try and save themselves and try and kill someone else. And it's a very interesting game filled with deception and lies and stuff. And we played about 5 or 6 rounds of this, and by the 3rd or 4th round, we were really getting the hang of it and starting to formulate strategies and stuff. So now when we get this group of people together again, we're just going to bash through this game. One Night Ultimate Werewolf. It only takes about 10-15 minutes per round, so it's a very kind of low commitment game. It's not like something like Through the Ages that I've got in the corner over there that takes 8 hours to finish a game. This is a very nice kind of party game if you have people that are willing to engage with it. So yeah, I would really recommend One Night Ultimate Werewolf. And that brings us to the end of another monthly favorites video. Thank you very much for watching. As I said right at the start, this video is being used as an exemplar, so if you liked the editing on this and you are interested in learning how to edit videos, you should check out my class on Skillshare. There'll be a link in the description below. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, I'll link my playlist of monthly favorites videos somewhere over here, and that'll show you some other of these videos where I share some recommendations. And you can also check out my website and my weekly email newsletter where I share more things that I like, things that I would recommend. So if you kind of like this, then you might like those. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.